Welcome to Agenda Edina, a news program summarizing the actions taken at City Hall that affect you most. I'm your host, Dorothea Marty. Shake Shack, a modern-day version of a roadside burger stand, will be built on the southeast corner of France Avenue and 66th Street at Southdale Center. Mall owner Simon Properties currently uses the site for overflow parking for the shopping center and Macy's.
Yeah, we are very excited about Shake Shack. It's an iconic brand in our industry. They're growing selectively throughout the country. We were able to entice them to come to Southdale and to Edina. We think it will be a destination-oriented restaurant.
The proposed project includes a 3,800 square foot restaurant and large outdoor patio area. The main entrance would be located on the east side of the restaurant, with parking on the east and south sides. Shake Shack began as a hot dog cart in Madison Square Park in Manhattan. Today it has locations all over the country. The only other one in Minnesota is at the Mall of America.
1, 2, 3!
To honor all K-9 officers, ground was broken earlier this month for a memorial sculpture to be placed outside of the Edina Police Department.
We're very excited to be able to put a shovel in the ground today and say we can start, we can pay for it, and then going forward there is so much public interest in this project as we have more of our K-9 partners to memorialize. The markers will be paid for by the funds that are raised for this project.
The life-size bronze sculpture of a German Shepherd measures roughly 46 inches from nose to tail. Edina resident and artist Michelle Recchi is finishing work on the sculpture that will be installed next spring. Elliott Design Build is working to complete the site work this fall, which includes a paver sidewalk, sculpture base, and electrical connections. When the sculpture is placed, a garden will be planted around it, and plaques honoring retired canines will be installed.
As a canine handler, this means a lot, this memorial, for the community to come forward and design it and fund it and oversee the project. This hasn't been done by police officers, this is done by people in the community.
The memorial was made possible with funding from the Edina Federated Women's Club, Edina Crime Prevention Fund, Edina Community Foundation, the Public Art Edina Working Group of the Arts and Culture Commission, and Friends of the Brave. In conjunction with Veterans Day this year, a partnership between several community organizations led to an important conversation about one of the most difficult and controversial events in U.S. history. Edina TV's Scott Denfeld and Dietrich Nissen bring you the story as Edina remembers the Vietnam War.
That listening to a person's story,
sometimes talking,
tells that person that you truly value them,
is the best way to work through the pain.
I am a strong believer that if your country calls upon you, you need to respond.
Of the past.
But I do think the patriotism of many young people was betrayed by the government.
Through the Edina Dialogue program, residents and attendees recently participated in a panel discussion called Edina Remembers the Vietnam War.
It's important to make some attempt to understand what happened 50 years ago now, although I don't think we'll ever fully come to grips with it.
And through the participation of the panelists,
we are very lucky and honored to have 6 panelists with us tonight,
which included 3 Vietnam veterans, 1 history teacher, 1 Vietnamese immigrant, and 1 Vietnam War protester.
The people I was with at the university were not against the soldiers. We felt we were on a rescue mission.
Honest stories and viewpoints were shared about the world-changing event that is now more than 50 years old.
How many Americans were killed? How many were wounded? It went on and on like that, and that was the way people saw much of the war. It wasn't people, it wasn't real human beings with names, it was numbers and statistics. I had been a combatant, I was going back, I could have been killed, and I wanted to be more than just a number. I had a name.
It's hard to fathom the national trauma that existed between 1963 and 1974.
So we would go into various areas and have to pick up the infantry that were killed in action. And during that time, and I have it today still, just the deep sadness of thinking of those fellows stacked up like cordwood in my aircraft, and with the smell of sweat and blood that just I can remember very vividly.
And by listening to the first-hand accounts of the complexity of the Vietnam War era, there emerged hope that lessons can continue to be learned.
I was young during this period, so it's hard to process. I watched my parents go through a lot of changes. I myself did.
Yeah, I tended to agree with the veterans. The protester, I thought, okay, this is interesting. Here's the other side of the coin. And I wouldn't have said that 50 years ago.
And that stories can continue to be shared with future generations.
You know, it's the kind of thing that you have to continue to talk about, process, tell stories.
Well, my children are grown up, and I think they think of the Vietnam War as if it could be the Civil War. So far in the past for them.
It's really hard to talk about it, but it was really nice to come together as a community, I think, and listen to what everybody had to say.
We can all leave here tonight thinking about what it means to be patriotic Americans, and how many different definitions and how many rights and responsibilities go with that patriotism. Thank you for being here.
From Edinburgh Park with Dietrich Nissen, I'm Scott Denfeld, Edina TV.
Veterans Marshall Schwartz and Bob Benson also served on the Veterans Memorial Committee that helped to create the memorial located at Utley Park. Thanks for watching this episode of Agenda Edina. I'm your host, Dorothea Marty.